If you want to learn how to build the best Sakuratides longsword builds, you are in the right place. I spent countless hours playing with different builds and equipment setups to save you the guesswork. So ultimately, I can give you my top 3 Sakuratide builds to destroy the current event and help you farm materials and rewards as fast as possible. For us to understand the inner workings of all of the builds on this list, we need to understand how the special set bonuses of the Sakuratides set work. First is Blossomdance Boon I, which lets the user gain additional event rewards like the Blossomdance tickets, regardless of which event quest that the user will clear, and takes effect by wearing 2 set pieces of the Sakuratides armor set. Blossomdance Boon II is the skills upgrade, which adds 9% of raw attack to any build, which is huge and adds 50 points of raw defense. But the skill's biggest caveat is it requires 4 pieces of the set for it to take effect, which makes any build to be strictly limited in terms of improvements. Carving Master allows the user to do 1 more carve on any monster carcass and gain materials faster, and requires 3 set pieces of the Sakuratides for the skill to take effect. If you just started clearing the event, I made a detailed breakdown of all the rewards and changes, plus the best event progression that you can follow to get every reward fast in this video. Link in the description or click the card here. The first build on this list is the Sakura Samurai Build, which takes advantage of 4 set pieces of the Sakuratides armor set while maintaining high damage output. Pretty much you can use this set and call it a day if you want to have all of the exclusive event buffs. This build has an effective raw of 438, 77% to 87% affinity, and 34% critical damage boost. With a few changes, this build can work in any weapon type. We do have 4 pieces of the Sakuratides armor set equipped, so Blossomdance 2 is active, giving you a huge boost in power and defense, and also Carving Master for 1 additional monster carve. All of the builds on this list will be using an Artian Longsword, which has an amazing stats of 225 raw attack, 5% affinity, and 100 paralysis element. Paralysis is still king when it comes to overall damage output, whether you are playing online or in multiplayer. But since the Sakuratides greatly benefit from the skill Foray, any poison or paralysis weapon of your choice is suggested, and more into this later. For the reinforcement bonuses, I do have 4 attack bonuses and 1 sharpness boost, but as always, I don't suggest chasing these perfect stats if you don't like doing it. Just make sure to have at least 1 sharpness boost and at least 2 attack bonuses, and you are good to go. As always, the Lalabarina Longsword is still a viable choice and will work perfectly either in multiplayer or single player matches. For the armor sets, slot in 4 pieces of Sakuratide for the head, arms, waist, and legs, while slotting in Numinous Shroud Beta for the chest piece. The Challenger Charm 2 will take the spotlight this time for the level 2 agitator skill it provides. You do have 2 options when it comes to mantles, but the Corrupted Mantle is going to be our choice here. Its 10% additional affinity and 4.5% attack increase are simply too good to ignore. If you want more survivability, the Rocksteady Mantle is always a good choice. A mantle that grants damage reduction, hyper armor, and protection from other elements, perfect for players who are still adjusting at endgame. Decoration wise, I'm running with level 3 Razor Sharp in Handicraft, along with Critical Jewel 3 and Expert Jewel 3 on the weapon slots. For the armor slot, equip Challenger Jewel 3. Arm slots will have Mighty Jewel 2 and Sheath Jewel 1. For the waist, I do have another Mighty Jewel 2 and Protection Jewel 1, while another Mighty Jewel 2. Following all of my gear suggestions will grant us level 3 Critical Eye, which adds a 12% critical hit chance to the build. A level 3 critical boost is active for the build to have a 34% critical damage boost to maintain high damage, despite the limited slots this build has. Since this build has a baseline of 72% affinity and only goes to 87% when the skill Foray is active, a level 3 Razor Sharp and level 1 Handicraft is a better option to maintain good sharpness levels. I always suggest slotting in Master's Touch when a certain build has a baseline of 75% affinity and up. A level 5 Agitator is active on this build, which grants plus 20 raw attack and 15% affinity when facing a monster that is enraged, which is 70% of an entire fight. Foray is one of the main skills the Sakuratides set provides, and in this setup, we do have level 4 Foray, which provides plus 12 raw attack and 15% affinity against large monsters suffering from poison or paralysis. Players in our current events currently love to spam poison to make this skill work, and of course, paralysis has been the staple status ailment even before this event, so you'll be seeing frequent uptime for this skill. The mandatory level 3 maximum might is active for the easy 30% affinity it provides. Again, if you are using a weapon that uses stamina frequently, you might want to change this skill. A level 3 quick sheet for longsword users is a must, especially if you are into EI counters since it increases the speed of all sheeting animations. Sakuratides provides a level 3 item prolonger, which is a nice bonus especially if you are using Mega Demon drugs and extending its duration, while a level 2 adaptability is another good bonus as well, making you immune to environmental hazards such as extreme heat or cold. We do have a single level 1 free slot, so a level 1 Divine Blessing is suggested for additional comfort, giving you a chance to mitigate damage by 15%. And of course, the aforementioned Blossomdance Boon II and Carving Master are active for the special effects they provide. When it comes to overall affinity calculation and in this configuration, a level 5 Agitator gives 15%, a level 3 Maximum Might adds 30%, a level 3 Critical Eye adds 12%, and an TN weapon adds 5% if you do have a perfect one, while giving you more if you have affinity bonuses. When a level 4 Foray is active, it adds another 15%, granting the build 70% affinity. So this shows that your damage output is greatly affected by how frequently Foray is active. Sounds alarming, but not really. Event quest runs can end up in 2 to 3 minutes, and most of the time paralysis kicks in. It is enough window to deal tons of damage. Not to mention, you do have very high raw attack stat because of the Blossomdance Boon II 9% additional raw attack, granting this build up to 304 raw attack without adding the raw attack from the Foray skill. When it comes to damage tests, I usually test the damage of my builds by hitting the dummy 21 times and getting the average. While Agitator, Food Bombs, and Mega Demon Drug are also applied to the test as well. Performing the Crimson Slash 1 and Spirit Blade combo, we can see that the DPS range is around 2100 to 2300 plus after several test runs. Damage per second greatly varies since Foray is not active. It can reach the 2300 mark thanks to this build's high raw attack. If you are getting value so far, subscribe to the channel. Liking the video and engaging in the comments helps me a lot. Join our Discord server and help us build a core group to hunt with, and I appreciate your support. The Redtides Samurai build has an 85% baseline affinity for much consistent damage and effective raw attack of 442. This build only requires 3 pieces of Sakuratides, maintaining Carving Master and Blossomdance Boon I. So if you want to deal with consistent critical hits while maintaining event reward bonuses and additional carves, this build is for you. The Redtides Samurai will have Sakuratides pieces for the head, chest, and arms, while equipping gore pieces for the waist and legs. Slot in Exploiter Charm 2 and Corruptive Mantle for the additional damage. A Mastery Jewel 1, Critical Jewel 3, and Expert Jewel 3 will be slotted on the weapon slot, while a Mighty Jewel 2 will be equipped on the armor slot. Another Mighty Jewel 2 and Sheath Jewel 1 will be slotted on the arms, then a Tenderizer Jewel 3 and Mighty Jewel 3 will be equipped on the waist, finishing up with another Tenderizer Jewel 3 and 2 Saint Jewels 1 on the leg part of the set. Having this configuration, we are going to have a level 3 Critical Eye, Critical Boost, and a Master Touch skill. Since we do have 80% baseline affinity, Master's Touch is suggested. This time we do have a level 4 Weakness Exploit to reach higher affinity. Since we slotted in 2 gore pieces, Black Eclipse 1 and a level 3 Antivirus will give us 25% affinity. I was only able to slot in a level 2 Quick Sheet, and a level 2 Constitution can help you maintain maximum might a little bit easier. Moving on to the affinity calculation, and as mentioned, you will have a baseline of 85% affinity and 100% while Foray is active, while also having an effective raw of 442 overall. Just like in the first build, the Redtides will be tested with the same testing parameters. We can see that this build damage is ranging from 2100 to 2100 plus, pretty decent for an event set. The Oni Samurai has an effective raw of 460, making it the strongest on this list, however, only has 2 set pieces of the Sakuratides armor sets. This is for players who still want to do high damage but still want to get at least the event reward bonuses from the Blossomdance Boon I with an 81% baseline affinity. Slot a Numinous Crown Beta for the headpiece, Arc Vulcan Mail Beta for the armor piece, Sakuratides arms and waist, and Numinous Grease Beta for the legs. For the Oni Samurai's decoration, slot in Mastery Jewel 3, Expert Jewel 3, and Critical Jewel 3 on the weapon slots. The headpiece will have Tenderizer Jewel 3, Mighty Jewel 2, and Protection Jewel 1. Mighty Jewel 2 and Sheath Jewel 1 will be slotted on the arms, and Counter Jewel 2 and Protection Jewel 1 on the waist slots. Then Tenderizer Jewel 3 and Counter Jewel 2 will slotted into the leg slots. A notable skill change for this build is a level 3 counter strike, which adds a huge 25 raw attack when getting knocked back for a whopping 45 seconds. Not many people realize that this skill is actually broken, and even casual players can benefit from it, especially when getting hit regularly by monsters. A level 1 burst is perfect for this build, adding plus 8 raw attack after dealing 5 consecutive hits, which is an easy task for the longsword. We do have 2 pieces of Zoshia Pulse here, so the regen that the Zoshia Pulse provides is a nice bonus. Following the setup so far will give you a 81% affinity across the board, with a whopping 460 effective raw as well. This is pretty high for an event build, and the damage test will show the results. The Oni Samurai will be tested with the same training parameters that we just did on the other builds. Performing the staple combo usually deals 2200 to 2300 plus damage range, which is pretty high as mentioned for an event set. Pick the right Sakuratides build for you and you can never go wrong in any of these builds. But what if you just started the event and want to clear it in the fastest time possible? Watch this video and I will catch you on the next one.